GridCon. It's a brand new convention. It started this November. Rachel and I went. I'm going to tell you about it. It's in Devon. That's in England. It was at the Best Western Hotel. That's in Tiverton. If you don't believe me, here it is. GridCon is the brain baby of Paul Archibald Grogan III. Pictured here. Apparently many other Paul Grogans are available. GridCon is named after Paul's favourite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film, The GridCon Gang, based on a true story. To get to GridCon, you need to drive a very long way. Well, you do if you live where we live or further. That's about 4 hours away, especially if you stop off at Greg's for a sausage and bacon bap and a nice cup of tea. Other Greg's type shops are probably available, but not at the services that we stopped at. This is an R cup, by the way. You press down the top to open it, and it lets you drink from any of the 360 available degrees of the cup, saving you valuable microseconds. For the sake of trying to keep you watching the video, I've cut down most of the driving, although who could forget this classic moment? At GridCon you'll find all of these things listed here. Could those things be shown by moving pictures? Yes! There are great big rooms full of tables, full of people playing games, and being bothered by people standing around filming them. A ginormous table full of games and treats and things to win in a giant raffle, and it's all for charity. A great big library full of games, old and new. This isn't all of them, of course. A lot of them were out being played every time I tried to film this bit. But hey, that's the idea, right? Stand-up comedy. That's actually Paul announcing a raffle prize. I was being silly. There is really a genuinely happy atmosphere though through the whole thing. Even though I chose to say that in a really downbeat way for some reason. Luxuriously large rooms with questionable artwork. Great big burgers. This guy! But before we get into it all properly, I know that there's going to be something distracting everybody if I don't just get it out of the way first, and then we can just get on to the games. Okay? Sedgemoor South Services. As soon as you arrive, you're immediately put at ease by how pleased John Corner is to have you there. Refreshingly fruity beverages, the weather, animated, worldwide. Wrap up Calgary, this baffling puzzle of a sign. Toys and fun for all the family. Thanks, Janet and John. If you're over 18, you get your own private excitement area, full of, well, it seems to all be slot machines. But hey, it's great if you like slot machines, or Deal or No Deal, or hauntingly empty spaces. Custom presents with yours or someone else's name on it, but there's no Ellen. Sorry, Ellen. To make up for it, here's Dougie. Expensive water. Expensive snacks. But hey, you gotta have a tea, right? I could have stayed at Sedgemoor South Services for literally a bit longer, but we had to go because games were afoot. You might encounter traffic outside this petrol station. You might make a wrong turn and have to come back out this country lane. But hey, when all is said and done, you march purposefully right through the Best Western, up to GridCon, with its shy and elusive founder hiding behind the lovely Copenhagen. Look at this windowsill full of charity games. You saw them arranged on a table earlier, now they're arranged in a windowsill. The charity raffle board with extra prizes as they reached each goal. I believe they raised over £1,800 in the end. The halls, you saw a bit of this earlier. This is the main hall, there's tables and tables and tables. There's that guy again. The attendees tend to make faces when they realise they're being filmed. Even more playing of games and having of fun. At the back you can see a little gathering because there was a Games Law table, a retailer, you can buy new games there. There was some artwork from Ben Martin, including painted stones with cats painted on them. They look beautiful. Looking for players signs, helping everyone look for players. Here's a bit of a longer look at the library, full of fresh games from this year's Essen, Maracaibo, Sanctum, Cooper Island, On Mars, Mega City Oceania, Marvel Champions, Trismegistus. You can see them all. The library, among many other things, were helped massively by Paul Harris of HandyCon. Here he is teaching a game. There's a bring and buy that was bigger than anyone expected. Look at all of this stuff you could have had. And then the rest of the room is more people playing games. Did you spot the split second with Vita Lacerda in it? We'd heard tales of more people playing games in more rooms, so we set off through the Best Western to try and find them. They were not in this bit. But hey, they were in this bit. These are the quiet rooms. I felt too awkward to interrupt these people and walk in with a camera, so you'll have to be satisfied with a tiny glimpse through the doorway. You can come here for a quiet time. Look at the wealth of tourist information about Tiverton and the surrounding areas. Okay, we should talk about games. What did we play? We played Masters of Renaissance, the Lorenzo Il Magnifico card game. There's a playthrough coming up where I'll explain it more, but you basically nudge marbles in this market maze to get resources, use them to buy cards, activate the cards to turn resources into other resources, and try and get the most points. You also advance up a faith track. Bloomtown is a fast filler grid-based city building game where you have 2 tiles in your hand each turn. You'll take one of those tiles, put it in your city. The column you put it in determines which tile you will get back for a future turn. Tiles score where they placed differently depending on the type that they are, and then when you flip community tiles like this, you will do scoring again for them. And final hour, the Arkham Horror in an hour board game. I apparently only took a picture of this, but I have done a playthrough for it. You can watch it on the channel. Fast Sloths from Freedom and Freeze. This is a pick up and deliver game, except you play as the things that need to be delivered. We need to get around the board and gather up our habitats out of these trees, and we will use various animals to try and get around the board. You'll draw cards of different animal types, and those animal types all have different ways of moving around the board. Here is Rachel leapfrogging a load of ants. Okay, I know not everyone can get to Sedgemoor South services, so for those people, let's take a look at Tiverton Tesco, helping you spend less every day. The range of Christmas trees outside, before they were all reduced. But hey, we'll get straight to the board games. It's not a great selection. It's disappointing after having been in American supermarkets like Walmart and Target, where they have kind of half an aisle full of board games. Good board games too. I don't want to be too down on them though. Doubles here, Kaplunk's great, there's more new, kind of ironic Monopoly editions. But hey, I would have the Friends one. What's it got? It's got Chandler's laptop, it's got Joey when he was wearing all the clothes, Phoebe's guitar. I can't really make out all of these. It's probably Rachel's bag. Anyway, let's not get too distracted by Friends. Hey, Friends Trivial Pursuit. If it's anything like the Beatles version, the questions might be really, really obscure and difficult. But hey, what kind of video would this be without some Friends trivia? Who was the superintendent of the apartment building? Who was Monica and Rachel's downstairs neighbour that used to bang on the ceiling stroke floor? What was the name of Joey's bedtime penguin pal? There are no prizes for these questions. Back to the hotel. This is the room that you'd stay in. This is a double room. It was £70. It's a little expensive, but in a kind of way that all hotels are kind of expensive. The ones in Essen were much more expensive. And much smaller. This is a great big room. You even get dressing gowns. Tea and coffee making facilities. I actually really enjoyed this cup of tea, although I'm really not a fan of UHT milk. That's not down on this hotel in particular. Loads of hotels. McDonald's do UHT milk. What's going on with it? It tastes funny. Who's with me? The TV is fairly large and has preview channels. On the downside, British TV is quite poor. There's artwork to gaze at. But back to games. Fantastic Factories. This is a lovely little engine building game. You have dice that are your workers. You can activate them on your headquarters to get some resources and more cards and things. You're trying to get the right resources to play your cards that will activate and get you some points and stuff. It's really good. This was just in the library. I may seek out a copy for the future though. Alubari is the souped-up chai-slurping successor to Snowdonia. I did a playthrough just for this though, so I won't go into it too much. It's train building and tea getting and stuff. I'm sad that I only took a picture of Roll for Adventure and didn't film a little bit of it because it was a really cool dice placement co-op game. I really enjoyed it. It's another one that hopefully we'll do a proper playthrough on here one day. It's from Matt Dunstan and Brett Gilbert, who did Elysium and Professor Evil and things like that. And Chocolate Factory. But hey, all great things have to come to an end. And where would they end but this unnamed, under construction services? A lot of games were played, a lot of fun was had, a lot of people were met, a lot of money was raised for charity, a lot of games were won by people that bought those raffle tickets, a lot was brought, a lot was bought. And so we started our long journey back. If GridCon sounds like something you'd like to be at, don't worry, you haven't missed it entirely. Well, you missed this one, but there's GridCon 2 coming to a Tiverton Best Western near you, if you're near the Tiverton Best Western, in the end of June in 2020, which sounds like the far distant future, but is actually next year. Well, it's actually next week, isn't it? You can go to gridcon.co.uk and have a look at it there. There aren't many tickets left right now. It's a small cozy con. I'm really glad that we got to be at the first GridCon. I can't speak from huge experience, haven't been to that many conventions. I've been to Essen and the UK Games Expo, although they're much more about publishers showing off games and buying games and stuff. We did go to Manicon, that's probably the most comparable in size, and it had a retailer and a little bring and buy and stuff. But one of the things that really stood out about GridCon, it's not just the friendliness of the people, but the kind of availability of gaming. There's this great big gaming library there, thanks to Paul Harris. All well organised with sign the games in, sign the games out. The looking for player signs are a great touch, but also there were plenty of times when people came over to, join in with a game that was being set up, or when we were wandering around without games in our hands, people coming up out of the blue asking if we would like to play anything, which I think is a massive, massive plus for conventions. If I went to more conventions, and I went on my own especially, I I'm actually quite shy when I'm not mouthing off in a voiceover in a video. And I know that I'd find it hard, getting into games and approaching people and stuff. So it's, a massive plus that there's so many proactive people out there looking to play games, looking to find people to fill those sessions up, and just looking out for other people and making sure that, that they're not at a loose end, that they can join in something as well. But, there's a retailer there if you want to buy new games, there's Games Law there, there's that great big library, there's quiet rooms, there's big halls. A load of designers were there. I didn't want to get in the way and film a load of stuff, but Vita Lacerda was there, Tony Boydell, Matthew Dunstan, David Tutsi. I'm now going to forget someone and feel really bad. But anyway, we don't get to many conventions, they're usually far away from us, and Marty demands almost constant attention. But I'm really pleased we got to go to GridCon, especially the very first, officially named one as well. That's a nice little thing for the history books, isn't it? So thank you to everyone that we saw there, everyone that we played with and spoke to. Thank you for Paul and Vicky for organising the whole con, Paul Harris for helping with the library, Paul Bryant coming with his Games Law wares, the designers that came, Vita Lacerda came from Portugal to be there. Yeah, you get the idea, you saw the other 10 minutes of this. It was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you most of all, though, to you for putting up with me talking for this long. Now, if you can bear the badly recorded audio, Rachel is going to sing us out. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.